Do you want to build your full-time coaching business but are stuck in a job that pays the bills? Watch this video for how you can build your coaching business and support yourself full-time. Hey there, I'm Kimberly Spencer, founder of crownyourself.com, helping visionary leaders build their empires, stand out fearlessly, and crown themselves so that you get to make the income and the impact that you deserve. And today we are tackling one of my favorite questions around building your business when you have a full-time job. Today's question comes from our Crown Yourself community member, Suzanne from California. She says, my dream life would be building my coaching business full-time. I've just begun my journey and what's stopping me is I just can't leave my job. I need to pay my bills and support my kids. So first of all, Suzanne, I just want to acknowledge your desire and your priorities and your subconscious values that are at play, which are supporting your children and being responsible to pay your bills. And I just want to address that in the context of this question, what I'm hearing is that there's a belief system that you can't do both, that you can't have a full-time job and build a full-time coaching business that pays your bills. And that is the story that we're going to transform today. Because I have known many successful coaches who have had full-time jobs, built their coaching business to a place where they felt comfortable enough to leave the security of their job because their coaching business was doing so well. For example, my friend Amanda Kaufman, founder of the Coaches Plaza, she was a consultant at a very big corporate job. She built her business, her coaching business, to 6 figures before she even left her coaching profession. Another friend of mine, Kat Stankick, she had 1 hour a day to spend building her business and 3 children, and yet she's built a multi-6-figure business. So, the belief that you can't do both simultaneously is what it is. It's a story, it's a belief. And I have seen so many successful stories of people who have a full-time corporate bridge job, meaning a job that pays the bills while they're building their business, to then give them that foundation of support to then go off and build their coaching business. The thing is that it comes down to priorities. And if you are prioritizing your time for your job over your future vision. So this is where we're going to shake up the belief system and the story. So what is the belief that is present that is preventing you from doing both? Now, from what I can read from your question is the belief is I need to pay my bills and support my kids. Well, what better way to support your kids in showing them that you can build your business while having a full-time job and have the courage to do that and show them that they can do whatever they set their mind to. Because currently, and this is where I'm going to get a little challenging and my little Enneagram 8 is going to come out. I'm just going to challenge you a little bit. You up for it? Currently, the kids are an excuse. And as one of my coaches said a long time ago, your kids can either be your greatest excuse or your greatest asset. And while I completely acknowledge that you are choosing to support your children financially and you are being responsible at supporting them currently through your job, you can be an even greater example to your children by showing them how you can efficiently and effectively, successfully build the dream business that you desire to have and encourage them thus by your actions. Because we all know kids don't listen to just what we say. You can encourage them by your actions to go for their own dreams and to show them what's possible. Now, the question that I hear lingering in the background is, well, Kim, how? How do I build my business with a full-time job? And here's how. Number 1, you own your time. You own your time. Your job doesn't own your time. Your kids don't own your time. You own your time, and you, as the queen bee of your life, get to decide how to delegate that time. If you are constantly delegating your time to your job and not to your dream and not to the long-term vision of building your business, well, then yeah, your business isn't going to get off the ground. It's not going to go anywhere. But even if you can delegate 1 hour a day to doing the one activity that actually produces sales, then you start building that momentum in your business. Now, what is that one activity that actually produces sales? Typically, in my experience, having coached entrepreneurs one-on-one for the past 5 years, it's this one thing. It's having conversations. This can be having conversations up in the DMs, having conversations on people's comment threads, having conversations on a podcast, which is why I started the Communication Queens agency to get people booked and profiting from guest podcasting as a form of lead generation, because it's like literally like the easiest form of lead generation I've ever had. And it's amazing and it's fun and it's in my genius zone and in most of my clients' genius zones. But how can you set aside that 1 hour to cultivate those conversations that then eventually will produce sales? So take ownership of your time. How much time do you actually have to build your dream? Like if you were to send me a screenshot of your calendar, where could we find the gaps? Where could we find those extra hours that you have to build your coaching business? To give you an example, one of my clients was a new coach. She was launching her coaching business for real estate agents, and she sent me her calendar. And I was so excited to see her calendar because I saw these big, gaping holes of time. And she was saying how she didn't have enough time and there was always these things. And I said, you do. She was just dedicating a lot of her time to spending with her husband and her children, which is great, but those relationships are already built. So I asked the question, if I were to look at your calendar, where would I find those gaps of time that we can then own and shift to being all about being in your business? This does not mean it needs to be hours and hours and hours and hours. So often we have this perception, especially as new entrepreneurs, especially if we're coming from a job where we're being paid for the hours worked, that our time equals the amount of dollars that we can make, which could be further than the truth. Because as an entrepreneur, it's about the quality and the efficiency of the work that you do that equates to the dollars that you make, not the amount of time you spend doing it. So first, owning your time and owning that 1 hour or 2 hours a day that you dedicate and commit to building your business, which I guarantee you can find 1 to 2 hours a day. Guaranteed. And if you can't find 1 to 2 hours a day, then we got to really look at, is this a priority for you? Because pretty much consistently, no matter how big or small, I have worked with clients' businesses, and I've worked with clients who are ranging anywhere from doing $0 in their business to multiple millions of dollars in their business. I can always find an hour a day for their dream. Always, consistently, over 5 years. I have always been able to find it. They can't see it because you can't see the label inside the jar, which is why we as coaches are so powerful to be able to provide that perspective. But if you are unable to find that 1 to 2 hours a day that you can carve out to be your sacred time to building your business, then I got to ask, is this really a priority for you? Is this really a dream? Or is this something that you've been told that you should want, but really you like the safety and security of having a job? And that's totally fine if that's the answer. But look at how can you own your time? Where can you carve out 1 to 2 hours in your day to dedicate to those activities that actually produce revenue? And step number 2 is to make the commitment. Make the commitment. Put that time in the calendar. Block it out. Sometimes, yes, this time is from 5 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. If that's where you find the time in the busy day as a mom and running a business and having a full-time job, then sometimes that does mean waking up a little earlier. Are you willing to sacrifice 1 hour of your sleep in order to have this dream? Because that sacrifice of that 1 hour of sleep or that 1 hour of time with your husband or that 1 hour of time with your kids is a short-term sacrifice. And this is why I want to be very clear about this, because so often we think, oh, I'm making this commitment and this is going to be the commitment of how it's going to be for the rest of my life, that I'm going to be waking up at 5 or 4 in the morning to go for my business, to build my business, or that I'm going to be sacrificing all this time from my kids or from my family in order to do this. No, 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 no. This is a short-term time commitment of, can you sacrifice that 1 to 2 hours a day for your dream? Because then once you start building the momentum, no longer will you need that sacrifice, because eventually you'll get to the point where you don't need your job. But it comes with that having that short-term sacrifice for the long-term vision. So what is the amount of time that you can dedicate and commit to those activities that actually produce revenue? Whether that's going on podcasts as a guest, or having those conversations up in the DMs, or reaching out to people via email, or asking for referrals. Because typically the main thing that drives sales and coaching is having conversations. That's what you're doing as a coach. You're having conversations that provide perspective and shift people. The same is true with how you get them into the funnel. So how much time can you commit per day to your business? It's a short-term commitment. And how long are you willing to make that commitment for? So this is another piece as to why I like to ask this question, because it's a short-term commitment. Are you committing to this for the next 90 days? And then once you make that commitment for the next 90 days, then you can reevaluate. Do you need to double down? Do you need to commit more hours to your business? Do you need to commit less? Do you need to have a conversation with your boss because you've already gotten so many clients that you now need to leave your job? This is the part of having a coach and having the vision to be able to see beyond that initial commitment. That habit of that initial sacrifice is essential in the short term, but also look at how long are you willing to have that commitment before you reevaluate if this is working. Then, once you block out that time and you schedule it for the next 30, 60, 90 days, however long you are making that commitment for before you choose to reevaluate and see how much more time or less time you actually need to dedicate it to building your business, then make that time mother effing religious. Religious. Meaning that time is sacred. That time, your kids, your partner, your husband, your family, your boss, you do not respond to anybody else during that time unless someone is on fire, bleeding, and you need to take them to the hospital, God forbid. But that is a level of commitment to this time, and it's you operating with self-integrity to that time to not get distracted by those urgent emails that get sent to that your boss will send you during that time. Or to hold your boundary when your kid is like, but mommy, I need cereal. And you're like, daddy's gonna need to help you with that one because this is mommy's sacred time. So this is coming down to making sure that those time boundaries are honored. And the only person who will honor them is if you honor them yourself first. That means also set the boundaries and ask for support. So this hour is the time that you spend building your business, or this hour, this 2 hours of block of time every single day for the work days that you are spending building your business. If you're making that commitment, make sure, especially as a mother, that your family knows that commitment, and then train them. You train people how to treat you. So you let them know that this is your commitment, and then you enroll their support. How can they support themselves? So for example, I have a 4-year-old, and I supported my prime creative business growth hours are between 5 and 6:30 in the morning. And that is my time to focus on vision, greater strategy, building the company, working on my business, not just in my business as I grow it. And so from that perspective, that's my sacred time. My 4-year-old sometimes wakes up at like 6:15, 6:30. And so I get him set up so that he has snacks. He knows his routine. He knows how to put his pull-up off and, change his clothes for his day clothes. He knows how to get himself set up. I made sure that he was set up for success so mommy could have that time to be able to do the work that I need to do. And so that's doing it with a 4-year-old. And I made sure to also enroll my husband to support so that he comes in to make sure that he's sleeping with the baby so that I can wake up at 5 a.m. to be able to do the dang thing. And he supports me every single time. But it came down to making sure that I enrolled his support for the baby, that I made sure my 4-year-old was set up. So I made sure that I had the support systems in place and the boundary of this is my sacred time to work on my business, not in it. Or for you, this could be the sacred time to work in your business, meaning you're reaching out, you're making those connections, you're building those relationships, you are doing that thing that needs to be done for your business. But enroll the support of your family, enroll the support of your boss even, if your boss knows that you are also building a coaching business as well. And then step number 5, maximize your time. So that hour or 2 hours that you commit to building your business, Make sure that those activities that you are doing within that time are the activities that are actually producing revenue and results. Meaning, those are the activities that are generating, leading to the next step in the sales cycle, meaning you making offers. So that next step in the sales cycle of you making an offer for your coaching package, product, or program, that experience, make sure that those are the revenue generating activities. This does not mean this is consistently posting on social media. This does not mean that it's building your website. This does not mean that you're like redesigning, retweaking your logo. This does not mean that you are working on fancy pants Canva images. This means that you are working on the one thing that builds sales, which is building one-on-one relationships. Period. Whether that's in a podcast or in the DMs or in other people's conversations on social media, but you are utilizing that ability to have those conversations, to build those relationships, to then lead that conversation to the conversations for enrollment, to then lead those enrollment conversations into sales, and then so on and so forth, growing and growing, so that then you have the income to be able to quit your job and start running your coaching business full-time, should you desire. Tell me what you loved about this video inside the comments. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. As always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now. To give you one example, my friend Amanda Kaufman, founder of the Coaches Plaza, has gone So for example, my client, so it comes down to what is it you're,